Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian Custom Pick Guards.
Jared Brandon, I'm the pickup guy.
That is it.
Hey everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. Man, oh man, do we've got a show tonight. Holy macaroni.
Hell of a show.
Sitting to my right.
Rob Chafe from Mad Cow Amplification.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Rob, you are one of our highest rated multiple episodes. People
That's
out there,
right.
they like you.
Doesn't he get
They do.
the red velvet jacket now? No.
Almost.
How many before I get the jacket? I got the
You
fez.
get the vinyl underwear.
Well, let me know when that
don't know
happens.
what-
I'm going to stop right before
anyway.
that episode.
Yeah. And then, hey, this is special. Guess who we've got on the show tonight? Go ahead, person.
Hey, I'm Ryan, and I'm from Demos in the Dark.
That's right. Demos in the Dark, which no doubt I would imagine every single person listening to this show is familiar with what you do on the internets.
That would be something.
No, I'm guaranteed. In fact, if you could just throw a couple people that you got over this side of the fence, I wouldn't be pissed.
Yeah, both of our listeners know who he is.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're both here.
Yes.
Right.
So, listen, Ryan, for those who strangely may not know who you are, can you tell people where they can check you out whilst and at the same time listening to this show?
Yeah, absolutely. You can look up Demos in the Dark on YouTube. That is where I prefer to be. I do have an Instagram account that is a necessary evil. That is also Demos in the Dark.
You know what's kind of weird? I don't know why, but you kind of, for me, you're like the dead mouse of the guitar world.
You think? Explain that.
Well, a lot of the stuff that you guys both do is sort of in darkly lit stuff. You are both very, very achieved in what you're doing. You know a great deal about the things that you're talking about. And I think there's just a straightforward, open, honest way that you do it. And besides making the music that Deadmau5 does, like he does a lot of content just talking about music, the music business, life in general. And it's kind of weird because I see it both, and it's interesting.
Well, that's and you're okay with that, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, that's great. Guy's flipping, Well,
yeah.
and he's amazing.
Have you?
I mean, one of. Go ahead.
I was just going to say.
One of the. All right, I'm gonna do it.
Do that again,
I'm gonna
Ryan.
do it
That'd be
here.
great.
One of the just negative comments that I routinely get is like, this guy talks too much, and I'm always kind of like, man.
Oh no, don't worry about that.
I think if I had your voice, it would be. But I talk through my nose, and so I think that's the problem.
Right. That's well, I'd lend it to you for a quid. Anyways,
Well, you both can retain ownership
Right.
of his voice.
It'll just live
but
with
it's
you,
gonna
Ryan.
reside somewhere.
anyways, yes. That's another story for another time. So anyways, oh man, as you guys can tell, we're having a great time. This is also Jared's last in-person rodeo with us for a little while. He's still going to be on the show. Don't fear. Don't worry. Your best friend, Uncle Jared, is going to still be on the show.
Still going to be on.
He just is unfortunately going to be detached from us for an unknown amount of time, but and we will miss him dearly in the actual shop here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, we've got a whopper of a show, and I'm gonna guess it's gonna make go a little bit longer, buddy. I'm just saying. But that's okay, because we got a really special guest and special guest host at the same time. This is
Co-host.
well, you're a guest host.
No, you're a guest host. We're co-hosts.
You're
You're
co-host.
a guest host.
So how do I get to be a co-host then?
Well, we can talk about that after the
okay,
show.
all right.
I mean, no, for real. That's what we are going to talk about.
I
that
told
after
you
the
I
show.
wanted
There's a
to.
hierarchy of guestdom here,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
So lower your seat a little bit.
Yeah, you are sitting a little high for our taste.
Okay,
That's better.
That's more
As far
like
as
it.
it
Yeah,
goes.
that's more like it.
Yeah, that's better.
Oh man, this is fun. Okay, so we just need to thank a couple people real quick. That's right. We need to say thank you to Rode Mics for providing this awesome audio equipment from which we broadcast the Rodecaster Pro and the Procaster mics. I was looking at one and talking about the other.
That's true.
Rode
Outstanding
Pro mic,
equipment.
Rode Procaster.
Exactly.
Love it,
Then the mic's over
The
there.
mic's
Jared.
over here, Jared.
yeah.
The Procaster mic
Yeah.
is right there.
Yeah. That's what I should just have on my
You know
shirt.
what else? The
mic's over here,
articulating
Jared.
arm is as well. We love the articulating
That's
arm.
They
right.
are.
So wanted to say a big fat thank you for that.
Didn't we call them? We've renamed them the Roticulating arms.
The articulating arms.
Yes.
Ooh, should patent that.
Kind of weird.
What is next, my friend?
I don't know.
know.
I'm going to be pulling up something here in just a second. Pardon my. All right. We also got a cool letter from our executive producer,
Yes.
John Jackson. And he said, hey, one thing that Jared Brandon didn't answer on his 101 was how are his P90s so freaking amazing? He says, I want to share a little story. My Les Paul Special recently got rewiring and a set of Jared's pickups. This guitar has a whole new character now. Those pickups in middle position, it's like I hear every note in every chord from each pickup. Just glorious. Well done, Jared. Your P90s are pretty rad.
Thank you. Let me
Well, hang on.
hang on for a minute.
Okay. He says, you like a little story, do you? And you like guitars, and you like the cramps? And we've talked about that a little bit
Yeah.
before. He says, back in 1986 in Sheffield, England, my hometown, I saw the Cramps perform one of my absolute favorite shows and lifetime of concert going. Poison Ivy scowled at me from the stage, dressed in gold bikini and heels with her white falcon. Oh my! I can do it like Georgia Kite. Oh my! So 25 years later, I'm picking up my special from my friend, an amazing luthier, Chris Bilton, who put in Jared's P90s for me. We were chatting, and it turns out that Chris restored Poison Ivy's White Falcon. Sadly, it's not hers now, but it's the same guitar that she rocked at that concert all those years ago. Thanks, John, for sharing that little story. That's kind of
Yeah,
cool. Like
that's
a little bit of
awesome.
rock and roll abilia there.
Indeed.
Jared, you were talking about you wanted to say something about your
Well, I want to
pickups.
answer him.
Okay, answer him.
Sometimes
Mike's over there.
Sometimes you find the right pickups for the right guitar,
Yeah.
and that's just when it happens. It's awesome. So I mean,
It's Kismet.
the set that I made, the particular set, just goes really well with that guitar.
Brilliant.
And it's not. I mean, that could happen with anybody's pickups. You just have to find the exact right set.
But it's most
for that
likely
guitar.
to happen with your pickups.
I guess.
Right.
Well, Brandon wound. Well,
Well, yeah.
this is difficult.
I literally just had this conversation with Nick Greer yesterday. We were talking about pickups that we hate that work out
Great dude,
perfectly
man.
in
Yeah.
some guitars. They just shine, and then otherwise they sound terrible.
It's weird.
57 Classics is kind of my thought. In a 339 they sound amazing. You put them in a Les Paul,
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's
yeah,
a trip.
maybe Jared will have something to say about that.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for those announcements. We need to find out what everybody's doing in their music world this week. Gentlemen, we're going to start with Tony.
Yes.
We're going to kick it over to Ryan.
Yes.
Then we're going to shuffle over to Robville and wind up at the cul-de-sac of Jared Brandon, and I will finish it in the clubhouse in the tree. I don't know what that means.
I've already
That's
lost
all
track. Who's
nonsense.
going first?
I'm
Tony.
going first. I'm going to show you how it's done.
Okay.
This is how it goes.
How does it go?
So this afternoon, had the privilege of trying out a couple of late 1940s Gibson, a Super 400
Wow.
and a Super 300, which up until a couple of weeks ago, I didn't even know that the Super 300 was an actual model. So these are non-cutaway, late 40s. My friend Phil Maneri has a repair shop here in town called
Hollow body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You know.
they're technically F-hole acoustics.
Okay.
If you want to go that way, no pickups. And
Boo.
Phil has a shop here called Fifth Avenue Fret Shop, and
Pretty popular, actually. Pretty
yeah.
well known. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good repair guy. And a woman had brought these over. Her husband had passed away recently. He was the original owner
Oh, my
of
goodness.
both of these guitars. And they need some repairs. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And both are player grade instruments. On the Super 4, the pick guard had deteriorated and chewed into the finish.
70 to 80-year-old instruments, man.
Oh my God! But and then the Super 3. So the only difference that I can tell, based on a little bit of research I did, between the Super 300 and the Super 400 is the Super 400 had gold hardware, more figured wood on the maple back and sides and neck, and spruce top. And
Was it blue spruce?
is blue spruce.
Okay.
That's good.
If you know, you know.
Yes. But these guitars, even in the state that they existed or exist right now, in need of some repair, just sound incredible. I mean,
That's neat.
They are just, these are old guitars that, obviously they weren't just stashed under a bed. They were played, and they just, I was just blown away by how good these things sound. And even more so, how different, even though these guitars are probably within a year or two of each other. And, just by, the different wood, whoever was carving the bracing underneath or whatever. I actually like the Super 300 more. It's a little more vibrant. It's brighter than the Super 400. And I think it's good. These are both going to be very cool projects when Phil's done with them. But yeah, that was something I seldom, if ever, get to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, the 40s Gibson. So there's World War II. Mm-hmm. I believe that there was a period where there were more of a women workforce there.
Yes.
Well, probably.
I think there was a book written by
It's well
Carter.
documented.
Yeah, the women of Kalamazoo, I think.
Maybe those guitars are from that era.
Well, it would be shortly after the war and, approaching the 50s. So, yeah, I would say that, there's a possibility of that. And Gibson, I think, retained a lot of women in their workforce, too, for certain
Interesting
things. But,
Fascinating story, Tony.
yes.
Thank you for sharing. Ryan, what's going on in your music world this week?
I am always kind of working ahead, but released a demo this morning of the brand new Thorpe Pulse Doppler, which is the Dan Coggins. Dan Coggins is actually on staff at Thorpe, and so this is kind of a reboot of the Doppelganger. Very cool pedal. Got a couple of amps here from Fender that I'm currently working on a shootout for that was requested, and then I have another project that I've been working on the side. Where Milkman makes an amp that will self-bias between 6V6, 6L6, and 5881, and so I don't know if that's maybe all. Maybe a lot of amps do that. I don't know, but I saw it as a really good opportunity to do a comparison between those three different power tubes and see how they sound. And I've just been kind of doing the playing ahead of time and seeing what the difference is. And I'm honestly shocked at how different the 5881 and the 6L6 are a little bit closer, but it's amazing how different power tubes can be in the way an amp sounds. I'm used to doing things like switching preamp tubes and stuff like that to attempt to get a different kind of sound, or doing something drastic like changing a speaker. But power tube, I'd kind of written off power tubes as being a thing that like really mattered a ton, and turns out they do. So
Yep.
Yeah.
So one of the really great things about doing this kind of job is like I'm constantly learning stuff all the time, and so that's great. And yeah, I never will release a video where like I have all the answers. It's like, well, that's a great question. And then I got a kind of a care package from Jam Pedals. They just sent me a box full of pedals, and I'm trying to work my way through those, and they all sound just absolutely stunning.
Dude, the delay llama
Great guys,
is
man.
so good.
Yeah.
It just
really
sounds fantastic, and it's so
Yeah.
simple. Rob, I think you did you have any response to the power tube thing, Bob?
Nope, they do make a lot of difference, but there's so many variables in there as well. It's for instance, one brand 6v6 versus another one. So if you're comparing a JJ 6v6 to a Tungsol 6L6, it's kind of apples and oranges there too, because the construction of the tube is so vastly different. Impedance of the transformer, no matter how you design an amp, the output section is going to, how can I put this? Be more accurately designed for one tube versus the others. So even if it works with all different types of tubes, it's going to be most ideal with one particular pair. So yeah, there's all kinds of moving variables in there. You know, it's yeah. So
This particular amp actually has a switch on it, where if you're running a 6v6, you can flip over to the 6v6 switch, and then if you
That's
run
really
6L6s,
cool.
you can flip over to that. And I did. I asked Tim Marcus over at Milkman, and I told him I was going to do this, and I asked him for recommendations, and on what tubes to purchase, and he said just go straight JJ on it.
JJ,
gave me links.
Yeah, that's the great way to do it, because that way at least you're looking apples to apples as far as not going from one brand to another. Yeah, smart.
Awesome.
Now, what would happen if you put a 6L6 in, but set it over to the 6V6 setting? Are there any warnings against doing such things?
It would work for probably about 5 minutes, because the bias voltage would be so low in comparison to what the 6L6 wants. You'd watch the 6V6 slowly light up bright red, and then poof.
Oh, I love when they do that.
Smells awesome.
So, but Ryan, at the end of your demo, you should try that just to see what happens.
Yeah. No, I mean,
you won't be in the dark anymore when you do that.
Right. Yeah. No, that's. I'm all for a gimmick.
There we go. That's awesome. Let's see here, Rob. How about yourself? What's going on this week?
Nothing. Let me think.
Okay, we've been doing so. You're just now thinking of what?
Yeah, I don't know.
Goodness sakes!
I
got to give you the book.
So no, I really the only thing in my music week is I've got a gig coming up this weekekend.
All right,
wow,
gigging again.
That's
yeah.
Yeah, you're a hell of a guitar player. So
That's true.
Mediocrity at its best.
No, that's
shoot for.
Yeah, he's good.
So it's a mixture of excited, a little nervous, because this band hasn't played forever. It'll be fine. It's like putting on an old shoe with this band, but then also it's like, crap, I got to pack up all my gear, put it in the car, unload it at the gig. It's like, and I got to restring before
Yeah,
it's a lot
Make
of
a
work.
checklist and make sure every little damn thing is in
I know.
there.
It's just the work. It's like, man,
The one thing you forget.
I
is gonna
love that
make him
part.
mad.
you love.
that's exciting.
Well, I tell you what, you can come over, pack up my gear for me,
Right.
Because I just want to do the playing part.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
I like it all.
Yeah.
So, Jared, how about yourself?
Oh, yeah. So I have to play real life Would I Rather, because I am going to move to Nashville. I'm going to temporarily stay at a friend's place. They have a downstairs living area, like a mother-in-law suite or whatever. So I won't have a lot of room, maybe 600 to 700 square feet. That's not a lot for big giant Jared.
Will you have to wear a dress if you're going to be a mother-in-law?
Well,
Yeah.
I do it. I don't care.
Are you deciding which marshals to bring? Is that what's going on?
Which marshals?
Little do they know.
What group of marshals should I?
They have no idea who's going to be moving in.
I know. If you go down to my basement at my house, it's just a guitar and amp fun house.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like
Totally.
But I'm pretty darn certain I'm going to take one amp, and that's going to be my Fop Star. So Drew, you win, buddy.
Right on. That's a good move, especially for that place that you're
Drew
talking about.
Foppy makes a hell of a great amplifier. He's a great amp guy. He's also, we all know who Drew is.
Yeah, he's
Who
been
are
on
we
the show
kidding?
several times.
Several times. So taking his amp, and I think I'm going to take a couple of electrics and
And the Fez.
the Fez, of course, and some pedals and whatever.
Cool, man.
Probably an acoustic, and that's.
And an ox.
I have to. No,
both.
you don't have to with the Los Dos, my friend.
Yeah.
You can turn that down, and they won't hear it upstairs.
Yeah.
So they don't have any carpet either, I don't think. So I'm going to hear where they're stepping at all times.
That's gonna be great.
I
It's
got
like living in an
headphones.
apartment again.
Yeah.
It is, but it's temporary because you
Well,
know.
and it's worse for you because your head is that much closer to the
I know, that's
floorboards
true.
underneath
That's
the
true.
ceiling.
I think it's going to be great. They're great people. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
So that's what's going
Awesome.
on with me. I got to decide.
That's
what to
the
take.
best thing.
What about
ever.
you, old chum?
Well, I got to do something super duper fun. I had a coworker say that she wants her husband plays guitar a little bit, and he's kind of had the same little
It's like,
I'd
where
say
is this
rig
going?
with quotes for a long time. And she said, I'd really like to get him something special. I'm like, I can absolutely help with that. But what's your price range? And she told me, I said, that's respectable. And I understand, where it's at. And so it was $1,000.
You can get a lot for that.
You absolutely
Okay.
can. In fact, what I landed on based on his musical tastes and what he's kind of looking to do, I picked out, it was like shopping for myself. It was really neat. I was like, ooh, I picked out a,
You just don't get to keep it at your house.
I know.
My God,
For a little while I will, but I do have to give it back.
that's not good. That's
Same
not
kind
going
of
to get
deal.
old anytime soon.
So I had picked out a Squire Starcaster,
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
the burst version of that.
Which one, with the wide range humbuckers or the standard humbuckers?
I believe these have the wide range.
Yeah, that's
I'll have
okay.
to double check.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I got that. And then the Supro Delta King 12, which is a new line of their smaller wattage amps, and they've got a Delta King 8, 10, and 12. I think the 10 is a 5-watt amp. I believe this is 15. Might be a 10. Anyways, I got it. It's right in front of me. Why don't I just check? Anyways, it's a really killer deal, and it's a cool looking amp. It's got they put some stuff into the style of the amp as well, and it's $649 at Sweetwater for it's a 15-watt tube combo, and it's got all kinds of stuff. It's got spring reverb, line out, fat mode, boost, all the good stuff, and for a small area. Non-gigging situation. From what I can tell, from everything I've heard, it's a great sounding
You
amp.
could probably gig with it too.
You probably could. And I said, well, if you're going to do this, you want to get all the rig. She goes, yep, just make it a whole package. Get the strap, get the stand, get the cord, get the whole 9 yards. So it was really cool.
The Bit-O Honey.
The Bit of Honey. Oh yeah,
If it's coming from Sweetwater, you're gonna.
I
pass
love
on the
it.
Bit-O
there's
Honey.
going to be a lot. I love Bit of Honey.
I love the little
I-
candy pack that they send in every order.
I feel like Sweetwater is like wholly keeping the company Bit-O Honey alive. Like,
Well, if they didn't, I would, because I love that stuff. Anyways, it's a really good deal. And so check this out. That amp is, like I said, that's $649. Okay. The Starcaster is $399. I mean, that's a killer deal. That is an outstanding deal for that guitar, and it is the wide range, Jared or Tony. So there you go. If you want a pretty flippin' great budget guitar with that isn't crap, and this thing's gotten great reviews all up and down the street. So Ryan, have you played that?
I haven't. I haven't played that particular one, but right now the Squire series is nothing to spit at.
No, not at all.
Just in general.
I
have
was
a
thinking
friend-
about one of the paranormals, but I landed on this one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a friend who plays with like Bon Iver and Andrew Bird and all the he's a pro player, and he to this day is still rocking a Squire J Mascis Jazzmaster, and like
That was in the running, by the way, for this
That's-
selection.
That is one of their great models.
just send them some pickups.
Yes, didn't you?
Who? JMS?
JMS,
Yes. That's right.
Sweet.
Well, anyway, so that was what I got to do, and that was super fun. And I get to shop vicariously through someone else, which I love doing.
It's always
Yeah.
fun
'Cause
spending
I
someone
can't-
else's money.
That's what I was thinking.
I really can't.
That's not a
buy
bad
stuff.
week.
Anyways, we are going to transition into some awesomeness
Hey,
real quick.
so Todd, you got the guitar,
Yes,
you got the amp.
I did.
Let's just assume that he's got some pedals.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to need some cabling. What did you recommend?
He's going to need those Tour Gear Designs patch cables.
Yes.
That
we
is
love those.
My favorite. I have them too.
Rectamundo. Those are outstanding cables. And if you have a bunch of pedals laying around and with all kinds of random patch cables that you've gotten over the years and everything, you need to clean your act up. You want to feel good about what you're looking at and know that they work and not guess that they work.
Right.
These work. They're outstanding and they're
fit
super,
everywhere.
super affordable.
Fit everywhere on the pedal.
And as we were talking before the show, we really don't recommend anything that we absolutely don't believe in, or at least the majority of us really like. And we both like and believe in this
I
product.
honestly have a bunch of those. So.
Yes. So go to tourgeardesigns.com/discount/ the guitar knobs, and you're going to get 10% off your entire order.
That's
Sold.
Right.
All of the patch cables you get, because you're more than likely going to get one. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
So make sure you go over and do that. And we want to thank Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor segment. Jared?
How about you give me a little yes?
1, 2, 3.
4 on the floor.
Ryan, you ready to go, buddy?
Yeah. So this is the 4.
The 4
Can't live
must-have
without.
pedals. That's right.
This is. I know everybody has a hard time with this, and I'm not the only one. But
Yeah.
I've thought about it all week.
Okay.
And Paul Cochran, Timmy.
Okay.
V3, if possible.
Why the V3?
Because it's the newest one. It's
fair.
Out of the honestly, the knobs go the right way on them, and I don't have to think about it.
Perfect.
Because you know how on the other ones they go backwards.
That is weird.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
That's like on a Vox. It doesn't make any
the
sense.
treble. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a cut control. That's why.
A brute fuzz from Spiral Electric.
Ooh.
Is one of my all time favorite fuzz pedals. An Alexander Pedals Quadrant Delay is one that I use quite a bit, and it might seem like kind of a cheap shot, but an Eventide H9 is, I just can't imagine living life without it.
Yep.
That has been on the show many, many times, so that is not a cop-out or a reach or whatever you just called it that I forgot.
Yeah, I forget to.
The H9 is that's a pretty amazing machine, so why shouldn't it be on there?
I'm holding
Right.
out for the H10.
It's coming. It's coming.
All right. Well, that's a mighty fast and mighty good 4 on the floor. And look, I mean, you demo loads of pedals. So for you to call those 4 out, I think that's saying something.
Yeah, so I demo loads of pedals, right? But I also gig, and my personal board has not changed in a long time, because it's set up in a way that I know what to expect, and I can think more about playing and less about what I'm stomping on. Mm-hmm. And it's weird for a guy who demos lots of pedals. When it comes to live settings, like I am all about not having to think about a pedal board in front of me.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm oddly not a big stomper when it comes to gigs. I keep it pretty simple. I got some drive and some fuzz and some delay, and that's kind of it. It's all I have the bandwidth for.
Mm-hmm.
And I do admire the people who have like the massive edge size pedal boards and actually use everything on it in the midst of a 90-minute set. Like, I'm like, man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I just don't have, it's like walking and chewing gum at the same time. Like it's just, it's tough.
Do you have big
Tough
feet?
for a guy like me. I don't have big
That's
feet.
a personal question, Todd.
Well, I have big feet, and they're not as big as Jared's. But the reason I'm asking is because like that tap dance becomes that much more precarious. If you've got elongated
Well, watch it.
So this is what happens to me, and so like you got a change coming up in a song. Like let's say you're getting ready to gear up and you do a bridge, right? And you use a special set of effects for that particular bridge to make it really pop. Mm-hmm. And what about halfway through that second chorus, I'm thinking about what I got to do.
I got to get over there.
Yeah, to get everything set up for that bridge part. And at that point, I'm not thinking about playing that chorus. So I typically what will happen is like that's where I screw up all the time is when I'm trying to plan my next move for my next pedal switch and stuff like that. And it's just kind of like, man, you know what? Let's just play because that's all I can do. And so I'm not one of those super coordinated guitar players that can do everything at once. I'm just
If the pedal board only had Siri on it. Siri,
right.
Hit the bridge pedal.
Yeah. I keep it pretty simple. But I find that those and like the Timmy, I've played a Timmy forever, and so it's just about creature comfort, like.
You identified your sound. I think that's a hard thing to actually do, and I think a lot of people struggle with that. Really getting an actual sound that they can have because we're always searching for tone and trying to hone that, maybe be experimenting and stuff. But we know if we hear a particular any kind of sound from a song we like, we know who did it.
Yeah.
Because of that, and so to be able to actually get something that you believe to be. This is my signature sound. This is like what I sound like. It's pretty special. And if you got that, why are you going to mess it up?
Yeah, I mean, and I started with a Timmy V1. It was one of those where it was like, this is what I can afford. Like I can afford. I was probably in college and it was like I can afford this pedal right now, and then I'm not going to be able to afford another overdrive pedal for a while. So like you just make it work. And in the process of making it work, that then it becomes your thing. So I often wonder about options paralysis when it comes to the just array of pedals that we have out there, and whether that's necessarily a good thing or not. Because like when you go back to we were talking about Jay Mascis earlier, like why does Jay Mascis play a Jazz Master? He wanted a Strat, but he couldn't afford one, and Jazz Masters were cheap. So he got one, and he turned that into, and I believe Ellis Costello has the same story. Wanted a Strat. Strats were too expensive. Jazz Masters were cheap. Bought one. And then ground it out and made it work for him. Jay Mascis ground out that Jazz Master and made it work for him, and that became his signature part of his signature sound. And I do wonder about, it's like when, you have, if you go, man, I want an overdrive pedal, and you Google overdrive pedals, like you have an unbelievable amount of choices. And, it's like, I always kind of recommend to people, like, just get one and just play it for a year and get to know it inside and out. And chances are whatever it is will end up being your thing. If it's really drastically not your thing, then that's one thing. But
you in my head, I just saw the Ray Liotta Goodfellas meme when he said, just get one and play it for a year. And he's all, and he's like,
no one has ever taken me up on that. Not a single person. I say that and I'm automatically discredited as a human being. So, but yeah, no, I mean, and it's kind of the case with a lot of this stuff where it's just like, like this is what I had, and it, and so I used it.
What guitar were you playing?
In general?
Yeah, like what's your go-to that you play in your band?
Yeah.
Oh, right now, I'm a Strat guy, and I am using a Chafe OH19, which is a Strat style guitar. Really, one of the better guitars I've ever put my hands on, and it's just a joy to play. And that's I'm also I'm a one guitar per gig guy. Like I play with guys who have guitar techs who, switch their guitars every other song and stuff like that. And I just like, that's just, again, kind of along with the pedal boy thing. And it's like, man, I'll just play this one guitar and I'll make it work for the set,
And that's where you and I stand across the street and look at each other and say, "Welp, thanks anyways."
You're a multi guitar guy?
It's not like a Rick Nielsen syndrome kind of thing where I've got like a rack of them just because that's what I've done for entertainment or not. I'm not saying that, I play the ones that I created the song on.
Sure. Because
that's what I just got really familiar with, like the little actions and the muscle memory things where you're like, yeah, no, it feels like this on this guitar. And if I try to play those songs on other guitars, it just doesn't sound right to me. I don't feel like I'm playing it right.
Yeah. No,
That's just me. That's just me.
Yeah, no, there is some I take kind of the Bono approach, where, he said U2 was two bands. There was the record band and then there's the live band. And so, there's with a lot of these groups, there are absolutely parts that I recorded with the Les Paul on the record. And, now I'm playing it live on a Strat, but I'm just kind of like, deal with it. I'm not getting paid enough.
Yeah. I'm not good enough to be able to shift those songs over to the other song. I mean, that's really what it is. I'll just admit that. Well, holy mackerel. We really could be talking for another 10 hours. And I would welcome that any other day of the week. I think we need to share a little bit about who you are, what you do, why you do it, and how you got to do it. And we don't have to. We're happy to go into tons of tangents, but I do want to give people that maybe aren't familiar with you or are super familiar, but like, how did this guy? How what who huh?
Yeah, how'd you come about and all that good stuff?
Yeah. So my day gig is I work for a firm called MAS Distro, and we are we're a boutique pedal distributor. And when we started, it was just myself and a friend, and we just opened an office in Dublin, and we're now this large international. I have an assistant now. I have an assistant.
Wow.
Which is it's crazy. But when we started, it was just the two of us, and we, one day we were like, well, maybe we should provide some media stuff for the people who we do distribution for, and Sarah and I kind of drew straws on it, and I pulled the straw essentially, the shortest, and so I started, and I went into it with this attitude that I think I think it's an attitude that a lot of people have, just based on some of the awful comments that I received sometimes. I looked at it, and I looked at someone like Andy Martin, who I adore, and I was like, man, that guy's got the easiest job in the world. I can't wait to start cashing in on this
sucker.
And I learned it was really hard. It's a really hard thing to do, and my first I don't know, probably 50 videos were just awful,
and then you picked up a pick, and everything was fine.
Yeah, everything changed. And part of what I didn't know how to do was I didn't know how to work a camera, and so I was this is in our old house, and I had a very low lit studio, and I would just set up this camera and press record without even looking at. I didn't know what buttons to turn anyways. I was almost afraid to touch any of the knobs or buttons, and the end result was this very dark like really the initial videos were like you were barely seeing a silhouette of me. Then that just kind of became a thing, and I would I started doing it on the MAS Distro YouTube channel, and then at some point as we grew and grew, we did pull in a media person, and that media person essentially had a different plan, and he was like, you know what, let's get you off of the MAS Distro channel and get you doing your own thing. And I'll handle everything else. Like, don't worry about it. So I did. And when I did it, it was a pretty astonishing to me how quickly my schedule filled up. And it has stayed that way. I'm booked a couple months out kind of all the time. And
just doing these demos.
Yep, just doing these demos. And it's not just pedals anymore. Now we're getting into guitars, doing a lot of really great guitars for boutique makers. But also some of the larger companies. Like I'm pretty regular with Fender, and that's cool. And a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I wasn't even doing this. And it's like, so I have been extremely fortunate because I do talk to other content creators who are having to do the hustle to try to get the cold calls to pedal manufacturers and guitar makers and stuff like that, and just really trying to drum up content. And for whatever reason, I haven't had to do that, and it's been really. I just feel really, really lucky in that regard. I still don't know what I'm doing right or wrong.
Well, I think it's interesting that you don't know that, because to me it seems kind of obvious, which I guess in my day job, these are things that I have to pay attention to. It's sort of like you put up pictures of whatever all of the people in the universe that your brand or business lives in, and you kind of try to find where the hole is, right? And it's like, what is everybody doing? What are people not doing? Maybe there's a why associated with that. We did the same thing with this show. It was like, well, there's a hole right there, and I know that we can do a good job of filling that. And for you, I would venture to guess that at the time, everybody was going full on like TV, like soundstage, like sets. It's like everybody was like following the lead of that pedal show. And a couple other fantastic shows where it's like higher end productions. Everybody's like, well, the only way I'm going to survive is if I get higher end production, or I got to get Christmas lights, or I got to get, this or that and the other thing, because there are people that do spark and like really take off, and you part of your brain's like, it's going to be dumb if I attempt to do this and not follow the lead of something that's very successful. By accident, you did the opposite of that. And that caught people's attention. That caught my attention. I was like, whoa, what's this? Right? On top of that, your approach is different. And that's where I won't mention the dead mouse thing. I feel like it's different. I don't feel like I'm watching a show.
Okay.
I feel like I'm kind of sitting there with you a little bit.
Oh, that's cool. He's sitting there in the dark.
Yeah. It's very creepy.
I went through a whole bunch of different stages in it too, where, I was watching other people. I was watching Knobs, and I was watching, and I tried all of that stuff, and failed miserably. And it was like at some certain point I went, you know what? I'm just going to do this the way I would want to experience it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Some people love it. Some people hate it. Like I am like universally hated by the Doom Police and the Ambient Police. Like those two groups they share two things. They both enjoy really long single notes, and they hate me. Like that's the only, and they probably all smoke a lot of weed. Those are the only intersections that they have. But
let's explore that for a second. Why do you think that is?
Well, because about a year and a half ago, I did a pedal. It was the Pharaoh from Black Arts Toneworks, which is decidedly a Doom pedal. It's marketed as a Doom pedal.
Right.
I have discovered that pedal is useful for a lot of other things. And that it's a really great fuzz pedal. It's, if you were going to own one fuzz pedal to kind of cover all your bases, that would be a good option. and that was the case it was a very positive video. I made this case in this video. And so on YouTube, there are comments that will go straight to hell, essentially. Like YouTube will read it ahead of time, and its algorithm will go, yeah, he doesn't want to see these. And for like months after that video, the Doom dudes were just like, their comments were so vile that they went just straight into this bin.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really terrible. And then and so at that point I was like, okay, fair enough. And then the Hologram sent me a microcosm, and I thought they screwed up. And so I, kind of was going to do it to call their bluff. And so what I did is I did a non-ambient demo of their pedal. And holy crap, dude, the ambient police, like, people are like, you're doing that wrong. I'm like, how do you do it wrong?
Right.
Like, how am I doing this wrong? And and I really went into most of the time I ignore those things, but I decided to go down the rabbit hole with one guy who was real adamant about me ruining this pedal for the world. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? And he was like, you're doing too much. And I'm like, you mean like I created a melody and then built on that melody and then supported that melody with a rhythm section? And he was essentially like, yeah, that's not art. And I was like, got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so it seems whenever I stick a toe in either of their worlds and try to do whatever it is that I do, though both of those worlds will very quickly clap back, and it's always very interesting.
Now you would think that the people that are into like the ambient stuff would be pretty laid back,
pretty chill,
right? And pretty like
but apparently
accepting
not.
of
They're right.
Fiercely defensive of their genre. I mean, the same thing with Doom too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The Doom dudes, you're like, man, like you just assume that they're so stoned and playing video games that they just, but like, yeah, and the ambient folks, you just kind of assume that they're sitting around with scented candles and stuff like that, and just like at whatever level of peace you can get to, and like, they've reached it. But no, I piss them off every time.
Well, I think that's weird, because one of the things that I do enjoy about the show is that I feel like you hit appropriate types of music in order to demonstrate what the pedal can do.
Yeah, and that was something that I took from Andy. Andy Martin is a chameleon, and I can't be as I'm just not built to be as diverse as him. But that's one of the things that Andy is my absolute favorite. And like when I've watched him, I mean, I grew up watching him. And but one of the things about him is like he is a chameleon, and he can play. He will play whatever is right for whatever he is focusing on. And I try to cop that a little bit. But like I said, he's got a much wider palette than I do. But I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, you talked about how hard it is for you to do this, and I think on the outset, people are like, how hard is it you're a guitar player, you like gear, how hard is it to play guitar with the gear that you like? But you are having to come up with, like, I dipped my just pinky toe into I said, look, I'm not going to try to do anything anybody else is doing because I can't. And I started doing like a 1 minute, and I just called it a 1 minute wonder, because that's all that you're going to get out of me. But the thing is, I just want to say, like, here's a quick glance of what this pedal does, right? Yep. Just like nothing super elaborate. But you have to come up with something that fits the piece of gear that you're playing. In the spirit of that, not because you're going to not piss somebody off or something. You just have to, like, what is this pedal giving me back? What is this amp or this guitar giving me back? And that just coming up with like, what is the thing I'm going to play on this? Man, that is a time suck. Holy mackerel.
Yeah. So I think and part of what makes it really hard is I think about it from three different levels. And one is like, there are three different people that I have to do right by, or three different groups. And one of those is the manufacturer themselves, because they're paying me to do a thing. Mm-hmm. And so I better get that right. So that's a stress. And then I also want to make sure that I'm giving the most accurate as I can, description or, illustration of what the product is for people who are interested in possibly purchasing it. It would be a total bummer to get something that had been messed with and, studio wise, whatever, that doesn't sound
so
anything
doctored.
like, Yeah. So like, I want to make sure that I'm kind of explaining what it is for people who are interested in purchasing it as well. And so like those two things, because it becomes less about, and this is the thing I see a lot of demo people who are kind of coming up struggle with, is it's nothing. It doesn't have, none of this has anything to do with me. I look at it's 100%, it's 99.9% about the product. And so if you're on a road trip and you get thirsty, you stop at a gas station and you want a soda, and then you go stand in front of this soda aisle, and then you have all of these choices and you find the one that best suits you, the soda that is going to quench your thirst or whatever. That's the same thing that people are doing when they, prefer one demo, so one content creator over another. What they're doing, the thing that brought them there, the content creator didn't make them thirsty. It's the product. The product is, and so when people go to a gear demo channel, it's because the product brought them there, but they can resonate with that particular content creator. And so that is the content creator that they have chosen to hit the subscribe button to and and check out. The thing that you run into with a lot of and it's a hard thing to kind of get over, and I had to get over it myself too, because I did think that for a long time I thought it was me that was doing this stuff, and then the realization came to, it's like, no, you know what? Like, my focus needs to be on presenting product, because that is the thing that's the reason we're here. And that's the reason I have any subscribers. If I put out a record tomorrow and pushed it on my YouTube subscribers or, internet followers, nobody would care, because it's all about the product. And so that's, it's a lot different than I want to write a song that's going to make me happy. Mm-hmm. It's like I need to do right by these different groups and this different criteria that needs to be met for this to be a success.
Yeah.
So it's a weird world.
Well, I can very much say that I would love to sit down and just speak in metaphors for hours with you, because that's how I talk and think, toward Tony and Jared are just like, what are you talking about, dude? But I'm like, no, hang on, I'm getting there. It's going to come around. I love that. But
I prefer mixed metaphors.
Yes. So here's something I will throw in there, that you hit on something that I think actually is one of the things that make your demo, I think, successful, which is you are at the same time that you're taking it out of, you're taking yourself out of it. It's the dark part, right? It's not like, I mean, honestly, it may be accidental, but that is what you're doing. You're saying, hey, this isn't about me. This is about the thing. But the difference is you are still very present, and you're making a connection with the gear and the viewer, but without the big giant spotlight on you. And I think that is, literally, I mean, honestly, I really do think that is kind of the magic of what you're able to do.
Yeah, and I think some of that comes from years of being a hired gun, as a player, and there's a front man, and I'm not him, and I try to pull back as best as I can. I actually one of the lighting guy at First Avenue in Minneapolis, he now knows when I'm coming, because I got yelled at for trying to push some lights out of the area where I had the big pole up and everything like that, and that dude was not happy with me. So now he knows whenever I come that there's got to be a spot on stage that's going to be dark, and that's where I'm going to stand, because I want the focus needs to be on the person who's singing, the person who wrote the song, the person who, whatever. That's the focus. Like, let me just sit back here and play support. And to a certain degree, I feel like I'm doing the same thing with the product. Let me just be the support for the product, and let's let the product take center stage, because that's the focus here.
Yeah. What a great venue, First Ave. Jared, you got a question?
I absolutely do. Can you tell us about the hat that you wear?
Oh, yes. I get that's a question I get a lot. So it's a company in San Francisco, and they're called Waltz Caps, and they make
They're like welder's caps.
It's a bicycle cap.
It's a bicycle cap. It kind of looks like a welder's cap a little bit.
So here's the thing. I have a super small head. So
like unusually small.
I don't know. Not like.
I don't know.
Let's get a circumference.
No, it's. I have a hard time buying hats, and because I have a small head, and so what I've found is actually when I put on this cycling cap, it takes on a different form on my head than it would on someone else's head, where it would probably look more like a cycling cap.
I wear size 8.
Do you know your hat size?
It's 8, yeah. I was in the military.
She's 6'7".
Oh, okay. I was going to ask how you knew that. So.
I mean, in the military, it's all fitted.
Right.
Oh, sure. I was going to say either that or, I mean, especially you're the one going to Nashville, right? You're going to have to get yourself a real cowboy hat.
10 gallon. I'll wear it.
Like a real, everybody should have a real fitted cowboy hat. Like everybody should own one, but you should definitely have one if you're going to be living in Nashville.
I will take your advice. I'll do it.
I think Jared is the only guy in the Army who ever had actually bespoke uniforms made.
We'll take 2 of these and mix them up.
Right.
Well, Ryan, can you tell us at all about maybe what your what you have going, this journey that you've been on, and this awesome, outpouring content that you've managed to wrangle. What does this look like moving forward to you?
No clue. And that's so I started out 2021 by going, and I said this verbally. I spoke it into existence. I wanted to move Demos in the Dark to being a more holistic guitar channel. And so that was when I started to talk with some of my friends who are guitar builders and amp builders and stuff like that, because it's a whole package that makes a sound. It's not just, a pedal here and there. So I'm really enjoying that. I really enjoy working on guitars because that's the point where you have a physical connection. So that's really fun. And I've been enjoying that. But, after that, essentially what my plan is I'm just going to keep doing it until people stop watching. And, if when that happens, then, or I stop having fun. One of those two things. I stop having fun, or people stop having fun watching me.
I hope that's not anytime soon, because you really do put out fantastic stuff, man.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that, man. But yeah, that's my plan. I'm just gonna, just keep rolling with the industry as it moves along, and if the industry still has a place for me in a couple of years, hopefully I'll still be doing it. And if not, I'll be doing something else.
Awesome. Hey, I think Rob's got a question for you.
Yeah, Ryan, do you have a go-to amp that you use for your demos?
Yeah. Good question.
That is a good question. It depends. I do have the one that I'm most comfortable with. I am most comfortable with a Benson Amps Monarch Reverb. It's the amp that I use all the time, anyways.
That's your gigging amp.
Yeah, and it's really good for like dirt pedal demos and stuff like that because it has the EQ on it has a really nice where the mid sit is really nice, and it can make dirt pedals sound really great.
For people that may not be aware, what is that? Is that like a 112, 110 combo? How many watts?
It's a 112 combo, and I think it's like 15 watts.
EL84?
6v6.
6v6, there you go.
Yeah.
And just single channel.
Yeah, and it's a really nice amp for clean stuff. I do when I kind of get into like time bass effects and stuff like that, I'll typically go some Fendery route. I just did a demo of the new Pro Reverb reboot, the 68 Custom Pro Reverb. What a cool! I had pretty low expectations, and it's a really, really.
Why did you have pretty low expectations?
I just kind of had a sour taste in my mouth for any kind of reboot anything, especially in the amp world. And so I kind of expected to not like it, and I fell in love with it immediately. Like, just I want to use it for everything.
What's the difference?
The difference between that and the original is they brought it down to one single channel, so it doesn't have two channels anymore. They use they added a mids control. They use a creamback speaker, which is really nice. And then they built in. Then when I hear stuff like this, I'm kind of like, They somehow built in rectifier sag into the transformer, and so when I.
What does that do for anybody who's like, what did Hoda? What?
Well, I think when I think of a Pro Reverb, I think of just like endlessly clean, right?
Okay.
And, and this amp gets dirty at like 6.
Huh.
And so and again, like you have some opportunity between the creamback and having a mids control. It's like you can actually pump some mids out of a Fender amp. Like if you want to get the Fender sound out of the new Pro Reverb, you have to scoop the mids. Like it's crazy.
Huh.
So it's a really nice amp. And then if I'm not sure, I have a 67 Bassman, and it's just kind of like if I'm not sure what route to go, that will cover anything, it seems.
Cool.
Do you always go analog with the recording, or do you ever go direct into DAW?
No, I mic everything, and I mean part of it is I have to warrant. When we moved into this new house, I built this recording studio, so I have an amp room, and and so I like to be able to show my spouse that I'm using it. You know what I mean? But I've been doing overdub studio stuff for like ad work, and playing on people's records and stuff like that for a long time. So I do have I'm not gonna say I'm like great at it, but I have a lot of experience with miking amps and cabs. I honestly in a spot where I think I could probably do that faster than figuring out how to use an IR loader or whatever.
Yeah.
It is an amp room and it's in the other room, but I can still, it still moves the floor. You don't really get that same kind of feeling out of your monitor speakers. Like,
that's true.
And that at least makes it more real for me. And I like a challenge.
Cool.
So.
I was wondering, would you consider doing a candlelight
Yeah.
Demo.
Yeah, we should.
Maybe with something like a Liberace candelabra kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's gonna be too bright.
Too much bright.
Way too bright.
Ryan, this has been a delight learning all about what you do and why you do it, and we're grateful that you are doing it for whatever reason you do it. But anything coming up in the future that might interest us?
Yes, this is either going to be tremendous or terrible. I don't feel like there's any gray area in between there. But I am starting a live series on YouTube, and it's going to be different than kind of like, hey, here's some lessons and stuff like that. What I'm actually doing is I am pulling in guests that I will be interviewing for that. And so we're starting out with the 2 guitar players from Phantom Planet.
Cool.
Which is gonna be cool. Wow. We got Brian Fallon, and we're gonna do Chris Benson. We're gonna do the guys from Chafe guitars and stuff like that. And we're gonna do like a good mix of. I think I'm gonna talk to David Torn here in a little bit too. I'm gonna try to pull him in. And it'll be a mix of manufacturers as well as people out there really using stuff too, and I don't even know if it's going to be about gear. I have no clue. I think it would have to be, but I'm going to kind of leave it open. And so I think it's exciting and terrifying all at the same time. But it'll be different. I'm looking forward to it.
That is cool. And yet again, another parallel in some ways with what I mentioned about Deadmau5. He's got this thing. He's got this camera like perched way up towards the ceiling, and he makes music and takes calls and talks to people while he's doing the thing, and this is what I'm doing and everything.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew?
I didn't.
Crazy. All right. Well, thanks so much, man. This has been a ton of fun, and we've got a few more poundage of fun. Actually, a few more than a few. There's a lot more than a few coming your way right now. Jared,
are you trying to say I'm fat?
No, you're not fat, man. You're big boned.
No, I'm really fat.
No, you're not.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time.
You're built like Iron Giant, man.
Okay, whoever that is. All right. It's time for our little game called Would You Rather? This week's Would You Rather comes to us from John Jackson. And honestly, he's got a ton of Would You Rathers here.
But we're just going to do one.
We're going to do one, and I'm going to bank the rest.
Save the others for later.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say I read them all, and the last one was this one, and I loved it.
Okay.
So we're going to do this now. So you're walking down the street when 2 dodgy-looking characters appear right in front of your face. Oh, no, they're tone thieves. One grabs your clean sound, and the other snatches your dirty tones. They run off in opposite directions. Which tone-sucking troll do you chase first? Would you rather rescue your clean or your dirty tone? It's a great Would You Rather.
That
I've
is
never
great.
had anything like this.
I feel
It's
like
awesome.
Finnegan is hiding behind the corner.
I know. So, you dirty or clean, man? Which tone are you going to chase after?
I'm dirty all day long, and the clean can actually just go live at that guy's house for a little while.
All right. Tony?
I'm going to go after my clean tone because I'm a clean tone kind
Yeah,
of
you
guy.
are. Yeah.
I'm very clean.
Yeah.
Rob?
I don't want to pick. It's can't be done. It depends on what the gig is.
Classic
Like
Rob.
I'm imagining my bands. I'm like, okay, this band, it would have to go clean. But then like the band I'm gigging with this weekend,
Okay, pick one.
it's got.
Pick number 2.
Well, if it's got to be for like this week, it's have to be dirty. 'Cause
Okay.
that's that
There
band.
you go.
I can
You
live
gotta
without
chase
clean
after
for that
the-
one.
Chase after that dementor.
See how easy we can make your life?
But inside I'm still conflicted and horrible.
Yeah.
They're tone-sucking dementors.
Yes, they are. Jared, how about yourself?
I'm chasing the dirty, man. I live on dirty. I like to play leads. I'm not a great lead player, but I still like to play them.
Yeah?
So, yeah, I'm chasing that dirty tone.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, you just cover up the crap. That's
Exactly.
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 Well, yet again,
Tony all by himself.
Tony
Tony's all
Island.
by himself. I'm going dirty. Are you kidding me? Holy mackerel. That's my bones.
Tony Baloney Island, baby.
Yeah.
It's all right. I'm used to it. I love it by myself.
Well, John, thank you for sending that awesome Would You Rather and many more that you'll hear from John. That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yes,
indeed.
it is.
Yes, he's great.
We've got a few people to thank, and then we're going to say bid adieu to our friend Ryan.
And you.
Yes.
And you. There's 5 of us.
Get on with it, sonny boy.
Hey, don't rush me. This is art.
It's methodical art.
Thank you. At this point of the show, there's a special group of people that we like to thank. Mm-hmm. These would be our executive producers.
That's right.
We love our executive producers.
Yeah.
Now, someone out there, Rob might even be wondering, what is an executive producer?
Rob
What?
is an executive
executive
producer. Is that what you were about to say?
Is that what
I knew it. He knew it. Go ahead,
I
Tony.
knew you were going to. I'll finish your sentence. Well, it's very simple, folks. Go over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple levels in which you can participate. Become a patron, a sponsor of this very podcast.
Got to do it.
I'm slapping the table.
Yeah.
Yep.
Each level comes with some really great thank you gifts. Things like T-shirts and barefoot buttons and keychains and stickers and picks and
All
all
sorts.
kinds of stuff.
all the good stuff.
Yes, big bags of swag.
But as an executive producer, you get all that stuff. And there's one more thing,
That's right.
Jared.
You get to have your name read on the thing.
Your name read on the thing. That's what I'm going to do right now.
Great.
Are you sure it's okay to go now, Todd? I can wait a few minutes.
Tony.
Todd gets mad at me sometimes. So special thanks to these executive producers, Mr. Tom Brazen.
That's right.
Martin Cliff, John Daly, Chris Kearney, Darren Gregory, Doug Christ, Michael Van Zant, Ken Sayers, Brian Robison, Michael Senchuk, Stefan Lamb, Johnny Knowles, Anthony Lathrop, John Englund, Tyler Bray, Brad Partridge, Chris Heidel, John Esterly, Doug Gann, Justin Jones, Brett Alexander, James White, Matt Hart, Bill Gula Guitars, Richard Kendall, Tig Harmon, John Jackson, author of this week's Would You Rather, Jason Roush, David Rando, Douglas King, Gary Cooper, Rob Saxby, Mark Garton, Elad Mizrahi, Mike D, and new this week, another executive producer.
Today, actually.
Today, shortly before this podcast commenced.
Yes.
He must have known we were doing one. So special thanks to Trevor Gunderberg.
All right. Welcome.
Today.
Thank you. Welcome aboard. You're in very, very good company.
Uh-huh.
But wait, Todd.
Uh-huh.
Wait a second, because there's another level of executive producer.
A little higher.
Little higher. They live up in the penthouse suite.
That's right.
They have fezzes that they wear. There's pizza boxes everywhere. It's
They each have their own jacuzzi, which is getting
Yes.
to be a little bit of a problem.
well, and they're one-person jacuzzis, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
I know.
It's hard to believe, but it's a little chlorine-y, smelly up there, but that's okay. So we call these folks our grand poobahs.
That's right.
So special thanks to these grand poobahs: Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, David Kaminga, Science of Sound, Cody Foster, Sean S. Tommy Manasco, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Tim Nowak, Tyler Rhines, James Pennington, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, Johnny Morales, and Jack Caden.
All right.
Thank you, and thank you again.
Sorry for botching that, Jack. Hey, just let us know how we need to say that better, or make Tony do it better. Hey, I honestly, thank you guys so much. It is such a humongous help to us, and we truly are so grateful. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much, man, for coming on the show. We had an absolute blast talking with you.
Yes,
and
sir.
I know that the rest of the listeners are shaking their heads with us too.
Yes.
Man, I appreciate people wanting to talk.
Yeah. Well, you found a handful of blokes that like to do that, so
Yes.
it's been a good pairing. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go check out, where can they find you, Ryan?
Demos in the Dark on YouTube or on Instagram, but I prefer YouTube.
Alrighty. And Tonya,
Yes. You go to TonyaBologna.com. No, go to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the custom pickguards I have available. Some stuff is available for online ordering. Most of what I do is custom work, so shoot me an email, let me know what you need, and I will take very good care of you.
yep. Jared?
If you want to get a hold of me, just go through the Facebook app, through the Guitar Knobs.
Yeah, or just send me a little note.
Yeah.
In the meantime.
Yeah.
Rob, how about yourself?
madcowamplification.com or Instagram. It's probably where I'm most active now.
That is one of the best best
something.
gear Instagram things out there. Check, honestly, you will love it. Rob knows
Thank
so
you,
much
Todd.
about amps. I learn something every time. And you can send me an email, todd@theguitarknobs.com, or DM me on Instagram @guitarknobs. We'd love to hear what you have to say, what your thoughts are, anything you'd like to share. Heck, we just want to hear from you. You can just wave to us, too. Thank you all so very much. Have a fantastic guitar weekend. Subscribe! Bye, Jared.
Bye.
What's the when it folds in on itself?
Hey, give me one.
right.
Can I have one?
The movie.
Serendipitous.
Enigma.
Serendipity.
No.
Yeah, but they cuddle like nothing else, man.
Yeah. They're great.
Among
Well,
other things, they fart terribly.
Oh,
That's a great movie.
The butterfly effect.
No, that's a different movie. Jared,
about you give me a little
wait.
Bridge over River Kwai.
No, I'm the king of the world.
Good
on
Will
top of
Hunting.
Titanic.
No, who's in that? The guy.
That's because Todd doesn't know what he's doing.
It's possible.
Leonardo
Leonardo.
DiCaprio.
Yes.
We need to figure this out before we start, or else we're gonna go nuts.
It's he's the movie where it's the city's folding in on itself.
He's just punching a bunch of little digital
Push that button.
buttons.
This button will work.
You guys are you recording right now?
Give me a little bit of that.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
It's Basketball Diaries.
There it is.
Yeah.
We'll cover it up.
Crap. I can't remember. It's like Enigma, or it's like something like that.
Yeah,
Are you in the dark?
I have the lights on.
It's
I literally just watched it a couple weeks.
Self here.
Sometimes it helps if you're prepared, Todd.
There we go. Because it's a cultural lexicon now. When something gets really
You're right.
complicated, you're like, oh, that's
Yeah.
a real blank.
Inception.
Costanza.
Yes,
Inception. Yes.
I listened to Gordon Lightfoot when I mowed the lawn.
Oh, I just watched
Nah,
that.
I didn't see it.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Nope.
Let's go remember this. Jared?
How about you come over here? Give me
No,
a
that's
little bit
weird.
of that.
No, that's really weird now. Don't.
That was a good movie.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.